Hello and welcome to another episode of Stacking Triggers. I'm Bill. I'm here. I'm ready to play some Magic. Dan is my co-host here with me. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Doing all right. Magic's hard. One Piece is hard. Card games are, in general, really hard.
We do not have the sweats like some of these others.
I mean, somewhat. It happens. It is what it is.
We got lots of good stuff coming up in the show. We have the fortnight Magic. We have a little bit of meta analysis and a little bit of feedback towards some bannings that happened.
Sure.
And we'll discuss kind of our feelings on the feedback, and we'll kind of go from there. But let's start off with our fortnight in Magic. Dan, have you done it? Did you do the thing?
Yeah, I've been to Magic twice. I've been playing Magic. I was playing Magic twice. I played the first, and I actually have all of these, so bear with me. All right, so I played Magic last week. I played Murktide because I was like, I'm tired of just smoking everybody with Scam.
Look at this guy. Thinks he's a pro or something.
Well, yeah, but no, not really. I understand a lot of the lines, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But so I decided to play Murktide because I'm like, all right, look, people like Arna Beth did pretty well with Murktide. Like, obviously, like there's something to this deck. I'm gonna go back and try to play it again. And I went 1-3. I misplayed horribly in my opening round against Amulet because I had 3 lands, went Ragavan hit, had Preordain in hand. If I played the Preordain and didn't just go pass, I would have been able to hit a Murktide. The Murktide would have been a 7/7, and then I could have just slammed the Murktide and just fucking won the game. Instead, I completely punted. So, and it's because I just wasn't focused. And then the next game, I'm just like, I fucking can't believe I punted, and I just stopped caring. Like my opponent was playing Amulet. I think I said, I don't remember. They like slam a defense grid, knife spell pierce up. I'm like, that's fine, and I'm like, well, shit. Now it's not fine. And I'm like, whatever. I just wasn't in that match at all. Then I played against Rhinos, and boy, if there's ever been a chance, like a time for Murktide to fight against you, like the deck Murktide to fight against you, it's not against probably one of your better matchups in the meta game, because my list was running 3 Ledger Shredders, which is like the best card against Cascade, like easily. Yeah. You get a free Connive every time they try to Cascade. So you just kind of just slam that thing, and you're just like, good luck, opponent. Hopefully I don't hit that counterspell that would completely end your shit. Like game 1, I got very lucky. Like I was like half complaining the whole time because I'm just like, my draws are so fucking pathetic. And I just had to like slam a Ledger Shredder on like turn 3, and I had like a DRC, and I'm just like, I can't, like, I didn't get I didn't see a single Preordain. I didn't see a single expressive iteration. It was brutal. Ugh. But eventually I got my opponent down to 3, and I was like, lightning bolt, and I'm like, how the fuck did I win this game? I had no business being in this game.
Oh my goodness.
Like against you. Like I was so mad. And then I lost the 2 post board games, which doesn't make any sense because like game 2, I should have just like, based off of the early 5 turns, I should have smoked them. Not even a question. And he was even like, I don't know how you didn't win this game. And I'm like, I don't know either. Because like I had Ledger Shredder on turn 2, they didn't cascade on turn 3, and then like they cascaded, they violent outbursted in my upkeep, and I just went, okay, Flusterstorm, because like they're obviously doing the Force of Negation thing, and I'm like, okay, Flusterstorm, and then they attempt to Shardless Agent cascade on their turn, and I go, okay, Spell Pierce, and it's like, when you counter the first 2 cascades, you should win every time. And I just lost. And it made no sense.
Dang. That's rough, man.
And then game 3, I have written down here, deck felt terrible. Don't know what happened, but deck felt terrible.
Dan, do we just need to play top tier decks? Is that what we just need to do?
I mean, when we talk about metagame analysis, Murktide is a top tier deck by some stretch of the imagination. So then I played against Amulet. This is a person who is very inexperienced at Amulet, and I played them also this week, and I'll talk about that here. But they killed themselves to their own Summoner's Pact in game 1, and then in game 2, let me see what I got them down to 9, and then they conceded. I don't know, something happened. I blocked that game out of my head because it's like this.
Did they have the ring down and just like have it tacked up too high or something?
Nope. They just no, because let's see here. They went from 20 to 18 that says Ragavan hit, then 20 to 16 that says Ragavan hit, 16 to 14 that says Ragavan hit, and then 14 to 10, which is likely a Ragavan plus Ledger Shredder hit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just seemed like they didn't have anything going on. And then I played against Amulet in round 4. Because, that's all that's in my fucking meta is Amulet. And apparently Murktide is supposed to have like a decent matchup against it. It's like 56%, which is like slightly above your 55-45 for Murktide. So you're like, all right, that's a good matchup. Nope. Game 1 I win because I think my opponent killed themselves to Pact again, but like that happens because like, there's sometimes where you just like overdo the math and it doesn't work out for you. Game 2 they tightened me to death. And then game 3, they've Valakutted me to death. So,
jeez.
So yeah, I was like, I fucking hate Murktide. He says as he still has, 69 of the 75 cards still sleeved up right here. Just nice. The Ragavans and Fables are in Scam.
Nice.
So, this week I played Scam, and what a fucking meta. What a meta this was this week. It was something. Mm-hmm. So my first round opponent plays Stomping Ground, Delighted Halfling. I'm like, okay, 4-color Omnath, great. By turn 3, they have gone Gideon Blackblade Kiora. And I'm like, what the fuck am I playing?
Jeez.
It was like some Naya brew that's like, it would be a killer deck in Pioneer. Like, I even told the person, I'm like, no shit. Like, I'm not like shitting on you, but like, this would be a killer Pioneer brew. And he's like, yeah, I can easily port over Pioneer. I'm like, I know, but like, he had Delighted Halfling, Birds of Paradise, Love Struck Beast, Kiora, Gideon Blackblade, some card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan that's a 3-mana 6/6 that when it attacks and you have no other dinosaurs, it puts a stun counter on it.
Oh, I remember. I know that one.
And then he has Bushwhack to either get a basic land or to be a fight spell. And it was like, so I lost game 1 because I had no idea what the fuck to do. And also I drew exactly 0 removal spells. 0.
Yeah.
And I have Fatal Push, Molten Collapse, Lightning Bolt, and Terminate all in my main board. So like, and Bone Crusher Giants. Bone Crusher Giants too. I had 9 cards that were designed to remove anything on his battlefield, and they did not materialize in my hand. Game 2. Would you like to guess what happened?
You got all the removal and he had none of the spells?
Let me read off his life total for you really quickly. Ooh. 20, 16, 12, 11, 9, 5. And then it just goes down from there. But Bill, what are the first 2 life total changes tell you?
Lightning bolts in hand?
No.
No.
That's 4 damage, Bill. 20 to 16 is 4 damage.
Oh, that's Ragavan hits?
Grief Scam, baby.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking Murktide list. That's why.
We're on Scam for this week.
Sorry.
So Grief Scam, and then I fucking Grief Scam him again in round 3 or in game 3 because Grief Scam's like the best fucking thing the deck can ever do. Like it's not even a question. So next game. I play against fucking Bant Martyr. Bant Martyr of Sands. You know how we were cheering on the mono white Martyr of Sands deck? Boy, we shouldn't have done that because then I have to fucking play Bant Martyr of Sands. And let me tell you what Rakdos Scam can't beat. Bant Martyr of Sands.
Jeez.
Like, he got the combo off in game 2 where it's like Abiding Grace and Martyr of Sands in the Graveyard. So like Abiding Grace gets back a 1-mana creature to your hand during your end step, and
Mhm.
then you just go. So you can just go play Martyr of Sands, draw a million cards with 1 ring, and then see that your wife has brought you something.
Yes, she has. That fell.
Yeah, rip. But yeah, the Martyr of Sands shows like a bunch of white cards, and then you just gain a bunch of life, and then you bring it back during the end step, and it's just an infinite loop that unless you have enchantment removal, which black and red don't have enchantment removal. It outside of maybe Chaos Warp, and I don't know if that's modern legal. That's definitely Commander legal, but outside of that, can't do anything. So you just lose.
Chaos Warp. Yeah, that might actually. It might be.
But that seems so fucking bad. That seems horrendous. Because like, then because it's enchantment removal and they play Leyline, you just
It
you
is
just get hit with
not.
Leyline instead, and it's
Yeah.
like I'd rather just die. I'd just rather concede to Abiding Grace.
Yeah.
And then match 3 was against Tron, and it was the Amulet player that wasn't very experienced with Amulet, and he wasn't very experienced with Tron. Now, mind you, I'm not very experienced with Tron, and the most successful league I've ever done on the channel was a league where I played Tron and went 4-1. And and that was my first time fucking playing the deck. And I'm an idiot. So
I
like
hate Tron.
I don't get it. Like I don't get what was so fucking hard about this game for him, but I had to explain like every fucking interaction. Like he went Ulamog. He cast Ulamog in game 2, which like typically sideboard guides tell you take out the Ulamog because if you get hit with like Dothy Voidwalker plus Thoughtseize, you just lose.
Yeah.
So he casts Ulamog on 2 of my lands. I go, okay, float 2 black mana. And he's like, all right, pass turn. And I'm like, before we move through any phases, at the end of your phase, I'm going to flash in an Orcish Bowmasters. And he's like, well, how can you do that? And it's like, because I have the mana floating.
Yeah.
So like what he then taps Ring in response which will have him draw 2 cards. So I go, okay, cool. Second Bowmasters in response to that trigger going on the stack. He's like,
yeah.
you don't have enough mana. And I'm like, I had 4 mana and I floated 2 of it after you attempted to exile my 2 swamps.
Yeah.
So like I baited you into this exact maneuver. This is exactly what I wanted you to do, and you did it. And like and he just wasn't grasping that concept. It felt like he kept thinking I was like rule sharking him or something. And it's like, no, this is exactly how this interaction works.
Yeah, so you had 4.
I had 4 lands.
You had 4 lands. He killed 2, but you floated it, and then everything was untapped, and he was just like, "But how?"
Yeah, and I'm like, I am floating the. I'm like, okay. In response to the target, I'm going to float 2 black mana.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And then again, he goes, all right, pass turn. I go, before we move through phases, so this mana doesn't fall out of my, so I don't lose this mana, I'm casting things with it.
Yeah.
It was just like a really weird interaction. Like either he just wasn't paying attention or like he just wasn't grasping this. Like I feel like he's new. I've never seen I've seen him like the past couple weeks, like since we've come back from the store having its break. I've seen him a lot, but like before that, I never really saw him.
You never seen him, yeah?
No. So like,
he's got to be a new player somehow. Maybe he's like a commander player who's like trying to get to 60 card. I see that often,
maybe
or not see that, but like I could see that issue.
Well, and then I had to explain the Orcish Bowmasters targeting Orc army interaction. And then I had to explain how the legend rule is a state-based action and you can't tap your ring with 4 counters on it in response to the other in response to you playing another ring. Like because what he wanted to do, what in his head, what he wanted to do was he had a ring with 4 counters on it. I had,
Yep.
I want to say at least 1 Orcish Bowmasters on the battlefield at the time.
Yeah.
So he wants to so he wants to play the new ring, have the
Mm-hmm.
ETB on cast protection trigger go, and then he wants to tap the
Oh,
ring
but
in response to that. But state
it,
based action says because this is legendary, you can't do that. So we had to.
yeah,
It's
you don't
like
have. Yeah, yeah. There's no like moment to
right.
interact. Yeah.
So he's just like. So that takes like 2 minutes to explain. Like the whole like legendary state based action just happens. Like it overrides anything you're attempting to do.
Yeah.
And like we go to time in the round, and we're like, and I'm losing game 2 because of the Ulamog. Because he goes
Right.
Ulamog, exile your 2 lands. I'm like, okay, I have Bowmasters, I have double Bowmasters plus a 4/4 Orc army,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, I can just throw a Bowmasters in front of this, and there he was at 9, so like as long as he didn't play another ring, I was fine. We plays another ring.
Yeah.
Then he casts a new Ulamog. He swings, exiles 20, casts a new Ulamog, removes my 2 creatures, and I'm like, okay, I'm just dead. And we're 1-1, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking draw because I had to explain like half of the game to you in what
Mm-hmm.
was happening. Like, I don't have a problem with explaining how the game works. Like
Right.
parts of the game work, but like they're
You,
like
you have to be accepting of what you say. Like if you're
right.
asking, right? Yeah.
Right. And I was never rule sharking him. And in fact, there was one point where he had Expedition Map on the battlefield, Urza Saga, and Talisman of Resilience. And
Hmm.
Urza Saga was taking up to chapter 3. He floats the mana, and he has two Tron lands. He has Power Plant, and I'm sorry, 3 Tron lands, Power Plant, and 2 Urza's Mines.
Yeah.
So he taps Urza's Mine to as part of the activation to activate Expedition Map with the floating Urza Saga mana. And I'm like, bro, I cannot in good conscience let you do this. Like you tap your Talisman of Resilience for a mana, and you use the Urza Saga mana and the Talisman of Resilience to fetch this. So that way you have
All your
9.
Tron mana. Yeah.
What would it be? 9 mana. That
Yeah.
so you have all 9 of your Tron mana. And he's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that is a much better play. I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't have a problem helping people get better, but like when I'm constantly explaining how their deck works and how their deck interacts with my deck, it just takes away kind of my enjoyment.
Yeah. Because like you're there, you're trying to practice and be better.
Right.
I assume
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to a
is how
degree.
you
I'm
approach
trying
it.
to
Yeah.
practice and trying to
Yeah.
understand like what are the scam, like how I can get better with scam, and a lot of it is just better keeps. There was
Yeah.
a game in against Martyr where I went to it was game 1. I went to 4 playing against Martyr because I was just like I'm looking for a grease scam or Ragavan turn 1, and I had a hand with 2 Ragavans in 1 land, except the 1 land was Takanuma, so can't play the Ragavan, you know.
Huh.
But you know, I'm there to try to get better, and I just am like I'm not drawing here. Like I'm just gonna give you the win. You can play whoever you want. I'm gonna go play One
Yeah.
Piece. But like
One
it
piece.
was just kind of like a really frustrating day where it's just like I shouldn't have to
Yeah.
explain all of these interactions. I shouldn't know how your
Yeah.
deck works more than you do.
Yeah. Like what's making me think he's like a commander player coming in is he's bouncing between decks like that so quickly.
Well, he's played Amulet the 2 weeks we've been back, and now he moved over to Tron because I guess Amulet's too hard, which that is true. Amulet is too hard. That's why I haven't played it.
Yeah, isn't there like an 89-page dissertation on it or something?
86, but people are
86.
like,
Okay.
oh, it's not that complicated. And it's like, guys, when people say, oh yeah, just read the 86-page thing, a primer on it, and it's like, no.
It's a primer that's 86 pages. That's not me. And I'm glad I'm not trying to build it.
Yeah. And then just real quick, I played an online league with Marco Del Pivo's Rhinos list. I went 0-3. Now, of course, I did punt. You know, like there are a couple very bad punts with the deck, and that's going to happen. But like, I was playing against Tron, and it's already a bad matchup because they can go Karn, get explosives, get Chalice,
Blow
and
things up.
and
Yeah.
you're just like, well, I lose. But They go. So my opponent in game 2 goes Mull to 4. They proceed to then have Natural Tron, Karn, the One Ring, Karn, Ancient Stirrings, and the One Ring. And I'm just like,
Okay.
this is your top 11 cards. Are you fucking for real right now? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? What are we talking about with this game?
Oh my god.
So yeah, I was mad. I was big mad, and I quit playing the league after that. I was so fucking pissed off. It's just like, how the fuck do I get high rolled that badly?
I'll tell you about it here in a minute.
But yeah, and for those of you who are like, just play Tron. My meta is a lot of Amulet players. There is at least 3 Amulet players who play at my locals every week. And
That's
let me tell you
crazy.
what doesn't beat Amulet. Tron, because Amulet can kill you on turn 3, and Tron has no interaction to stop Amulet from doing anything until they assemble Tron.
Oh man. Have they always been amulet players, or did
One of
they
them is. One of them has
okay.
been an Amulet player since like even before the Fury bannings.
I got you. Yeah.
One of them was always on Scam. Actually, two. I'm sorry, 2 of them were always Amulet players beforehand. But like, one of them was like, I'll play Amulet during like FNM, but I won't play it during tournaments because like people are just gonna stack Scam, and that
Yeah.
was true. But one person is just a local grinder who put a lot of hours into Scam.
Okay. Yeah,
Or
like
sorry, into Amulet, but was playing Scam beforehand.
gotcha. Yeah, cuz like I think a lot of like, not necessarily like when I say local meta, not my card shop, but
Mhm.
the area in general, and is like people are just going to play the top deck
Yeah,
in my area. And
which
so
is
it's like
fine.
that's why I was like kind of asking, like just trying to kind of get in their headspace a little bit. Like, are they just playing it just to play it, or are they just trying to play the top deck
Y- yeah,
to
I
play the
mean,
top deck?
grinders are always going to play like a top deck. Maybe not
Hmm.
the top deck. Like, I don't think there is currently a the top deck. I think there's a top 3 decks. If you pay, and if you're a grinder, you're playing any of those 3. But
Yeah, which means tomorrow's going to be interesting to see.
yeah, it will be.
Yeah, because
Although,
tomorrow's the Denver RCQ.
mhm,
Uh,
as of
we're
recording,
recording early.
yep,
We're we're recording early. I forget what you're doing. I think you
I
have another
have
tournament.
a Mox Diamond tournament, and I'm playing Scam at that. And if Scam doesn't go well, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do for MagicCon
The
Chicago.
showdown.
I have no
Yeah,
idea. Like,
I actually have news about that. 4 hours ago, by the way, they have officially sold out
yeah,
all
they
their
did.
badges. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's fantastic.
yeah, and people, it's really funny seeing people online being like, "Hey, I didn't have, I didn't buy my badge before I bought the plane ticket. Does anybody have an extra badge to sell me?" And I'm just like,
Did
you're a fucking idiot. You're just so stupid.
have people not learned?
No,
Have people not, like, because didn't this happen at RC Atlanta or
I don't
something?
think so. Because RC Atlanta,
No, it wasn't RC Atlanta.
oh,
No, I'm sorry. It was Eternal Weekend. It was
oh,
Eternal Weekend this happened for. Yes, yes. Because they capped it,
right.
but people bought their plane tickets before they bought the badge, and like, why not just buy them at the same time?
Let's buy them at the same time. In fact, I bought my badge before I bought the plane ticket.
Yes, that's also what I did.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do if like this tournament goes poorly, and like I'm not saying I should get like top 8. Depending on the amount of
Right.
people, I should at least I should at least post a winning record. And if I
Hmm.
don't post a winning record, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I gotcha. Yeah. I that's and I am in a real pickle right now too, because I still haven't solidified my standard deck for the standard open,
right?
and so it's just really hard because the meta hasn't shaken out yet from the new set. And I'm just like, oh my god, what do I even play? Because I've been trying Domain, right? That was like the top deck for the longest time. in everything I've been seeing on MTGO, which again, it's like a bad version, but like you're gonna like I'm seeing a lot of like Demir control or just black card with bat that takes card from hand.
Yes.
So and it's just like, yeah, I can probably get through that sometimes, but they're getting really fast with those controller, not control, but mid-rangey decks are getting really tuned really
Right.
fast. So it's like I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the problem is that Domain overall is just kind of like a slow deck. It's a very slow deck.
It's very slow. I went 2 and 3 with it the first time, but like they were close games a lot of the time. It was like, they had one more piece of removal that they got before I could kill them. Was like
Right.
most of the issues I had. But yeah, I could talk about my Fortnite magic.
Absolutely.
Yes. So last week, I was kidless, wifeless. Everybody was gone. So I decided to start my Wednesday night modern with going to a different card store to see what cards they had. Like I had an extra 30 minutes after work,
Mhm.
or not 30 minutes, a couple hours after work before modern. Uh, Drove 30 minutes to the store, get there, walk in, nobody says anything. Not a hi. How can I help you? Are you looking for anything?
Okay, that's very weird.
Person at the register is just there on dem phones. But then I start looking. None of the people playing say anything or being like, "Hey, how's it going?" or anything like that. I'm physically like squeezing by them to look at the wall of cards, and then I go, I can't find anything I'm looking for. It's all like commander staples, modern staples, and I'm like,
Sure.
I was there looking for standard stuff. So I ask them, "Hey, where's your standard?" And they're like, "Oh, you have to get that all online. Like you have to place the order online, and then they get it for you at the store,
Interesting. Because
and you
like,
pay for it at the store, but you have to initiate the order online."
so did they have like a kiosk in the store or anything, or is it just like you have to go to a website?
I was not told of a kiosk. I'm not saying that they don't have one.
See, because I have 2 stores in my area, actually 3 stores in my area, that all have like digital kiosks which connect to a digital storefront, and you can like there are still cards hanging out, and you can see them,
Mhm.
and there's some standard stuff in there. But for the most part, like they're like, yeah, if you don't see it out, go to the kiosk and like
And look for it.
we
Yeah.
might not have it today. We might not have it for you today, but we'll have it for you like in the next couple days. I'm like, all right, cool, cool.
Oh, weird. Like, do they have like a warehouse or something nearby?
Yes, my one store has. There was a nightclub that was underneath one of my LGSs,
Yeah.
and the nightclub went out of business, so they just bought the space as like a card storage warehouse thing.
Crazy.
And they just initiated like they just did a couple store buyouts because like what a store owner died in like Virginia, so they just bought like the inventory. I helped
Oh
bring that
yeah.
in, got a little bit of store credit for helping out, but like yeah, like there's like boxes and boxes and like sealed boxes of cards. There's fucking like long boxes of cards. Like
That's
there's a ton of shit to
crazy.
sort through, but like yeah, so they have like pretty much a fucking warehouse of singles.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's one. Well, that's awesome, but like
Yes.
it's just, yeah. Okay, so anyways, I don't know. I don't think this store has a warehouse. They only have the one location that I know of,
Right.
and I don't think they're that big enough to have it. But the same store, the owner is very big on social media. Or not big, but he posts a lot for the area.
Mhm.
And so he posted something, the day or so before about, a couple of cards he had. Particularly, the ones that I found that I liked were the anniversary 30th edition
Oh yeah.
things that like it was like an advent calendar, right? He had a couple copies of those. I only got 3 of the advent calendar thingies. So like I'm trying to like round out that collection. And the I messaged him back directly as a reply because he has his DMs turned off, and I got no response. I was literally asking like, "Hey, how can I go about getting some of these cards? These are the ones that I was looking at. Do I just show up at the shop?"
Yeah.
And just no reply.
There are
No,
just some people that are completely allergic to making any kind of money whatsoever.
yeah, and it's like I think it was at least $10-15 in cards. Like, it wasn't all of his cards. It wasn't a large amount. But still, like, if you're posting, "Hey, I have this list of cards for sale. Let me know if you want them,"
Yeah.
and only one person responds, you should probably respond to that person at
Probably
least.
responded to one person that fucking points out like, "Hey, I want to buy your stuff." Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah, like that was just ridiculous. Or like, say he did get like private inquiries about it, just say, "Oh, yep, nope, sorry, it was taken."
Yeah. Like, at least put on a public facing persona that you give a shit about people.
Yeah, yeah, and this guy's like been a real like pusher of standard in the area too. I don't know why. It's just really weird. Like I don't know what his relation is. It seems like he's maybe loosely affiliated to Watsy. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, he posted something like, "I just got off a call with XYZ, talking about and the meta's awesome," or something like that, and you should give it a try. And he was like shaming other stores for not like running this RCQ. Granted, the one store, they hadn't posted anything because they were barred from posting anything because they changed addresses, so they had to wait for that bar to get lifted.
Um,
Or not
Interesting.
barred, but like there was something with paperwork that needed to be verified
Oh, weird.
because they changed addresses.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, so I ended up, I spent maybe 10 minutes in that store and left, and I had like 30 minutes to get back to my store, which is like 30 minutes away. So I hurry on back. I get to my store, and nobody's there for Modern.
That sucks.
Yeah, that was real feels bad. Actually, nobody was there for Flesh and Blood either.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was a really weird night. But yeah, whatever. Then this week I went and I've been playing Demir Shadow lately. Added a little green into it this time for Sultai Shadow, just to play with it. Just to play with it. I know you're huffing and puffing. It didn't go as planned, which it's okay.
Shocking.
Shocking, says Dan. It's fine. I just wanted to experiment a little bit at the weekly thing, the one weekly thing I do.
Don't you were just talking about the amulet player and the Tron player who was like, this guy it seems like this guy bounces between decks a lot.
But
Maybe
I
Bill.
played the same deck. I just shifted cards around in it, right? Like the core was about the same. I think I changed like 4 or 5 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I added, what did I add? Oh, Mosswood Dread Knights. And I swapped a couple basics for Overgrown Tombs.
That sounds terrible.
Why?
It sounds so bad.
Card draw.
No, that's like
Recurable body.
that's like people who are like, I'm gonna play fucking questing druid in Murktide. It will be good. It's more card advantage, and then it's just like, my deck is so clunky. Why is my deck so clunky? I don't
Yeah.
understand. And it's like, because you fucking added a whole new color, and now you specifically must play less counter magic.
I don't think I had any less counter magic. I can't remember though.
Well, it's also because the reason why you have to play less counter magic is because there are often times where you're just like playing questing druid at end of turn, and you have like
Oh,
one additional mana left, and it's like, all right, well, this counter spell I had is now exiled, and I
mm,
could have needed it at any point, and now I don't have it, which is
yeah.
fantastic.
Yep. I get that. But yeah, so this week's though, what did I play against? I played against Gruul Prowess, which went like freaking fast.
Yes.
Yeah,
Did you
that
lose that one?
oh yeah, I lost that one.
Because group prowess is essentially burn, and burn shits on shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty rough. And then the last game of the night was Tron, and
Toss up.
they just had it. They turn one mull to 4, or game one mull to 4, and they
Uh,
just had it.
was it like power plant plus map, and then turn two it was mine immediately crack for tower?
I what was it? No, it was turn one into one of the artifacts that you tap sack make a color.
Chromatic star or sphere.
Yeah, one of those. And then it went into a
Ancient stirrings.
yeah, and they found another land, and
Nice.
then they were yeah, and then they were able to Sylvan Scrying into another land, and I was just like, you had 4 cards in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God
how
doesn't care.
how did you do it? How? The only misplay I made was playing Stalactite Stalker um over a Thoughtseize, because I wanted to grow the Stalker off of the fetch land.
This is
Um,
turn one.
yeah, it was my turn one on game one. Like I didn't know what they were on. I think I was first. Yeah,
No. Well, you were on the play?
yeah,
You play the stalker 100% of the time.
yeah. That's what I did.
That's so what I'm telling you is that was not a misplay.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
You always set the tempo. If you're on the
Yeah,
play, you set the tempo. Like the best plays
yeah.
you
It
can
was
make are like turn one Ragavan, turn one
yeah.
DRC, turn one Young Wolf, turn one
Okay.
Stalactite Stalker.
Well, that makes me feel better. It's just it was like if I would have thought C's, I
I mean, if
could have
you have
stopped
like
stuff.
a gas hand and you just like don't have a turn one play, and the best turn one play you have is Thoughtseize, yeah, you fire off Thoughtseize. But otherwise,
Yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
you made the correct play.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, and anyway, so yeah, then he ended up eventually getting the worm coil, and I just got beat down a lot.
Yeah,
Game two, he just went faster because he was able to keep more in hand.
yeah.
And then I played a game three with him like afterwards just to try to get another rep in, and he just still just had it. So
Hmm.
I just hate Tron.
I wonder if Scam
Um,
Shadow would be a thing. You know, like Demure Scam Shadow, where you just have griefs, like no
I think there's
stalkers,
some lists that run those.
like no
Yeah,
stalkers, not dead after all, undying evil, and then like
the not dead after all. You'd probably have to go down on the stubby D's.
yeah, which is fine, and also
Maybe.
get rid of Drown on the Lock because it's not a very good card.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So there. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, there was a one point in game two where he cast his Worm Coil Engine, but only had 5
Yeah,
cards in the graveyard. So I could not do anything to his Worm Coil Engine.
yeah, it's a
I
2 mana
could.
counter spell that doesn't counter everything. Like what's the
Yeah.
fucking point of this thing? It's a two. It's
It.
not even like one in a blue. It's a color and another fucking color, and it
Yeah.
doesn't counter a thing.
Yeah. It was hard. But that's fine. Oh, people are playing Dothy instead of the scam card. In 3 Dothy main is what people are playing.
Yeah, I've seen lists of Death Shadow, Dothy,
Yeah.
Bowman, and then Murktide. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
Murktide's the top end. Because you're
eh.
already in blue. Like, you're already in blue. You have a lot of spells that you cast that are non-creature.
I mean, yeah,
It's
but
fine.
it's
Fine. Don't
fine.
worry. Don't worry about it.
It's the problem is like if you get Blood Moon, which actually you're fine if they Blood Moon you. Like if a red deck is like Blood Moon, you're just like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. What? Like just like
Yeah.
fetch out your one island, fetch out your one, get your one island, get your one swamp, and you're like, or your two
Mm-hmm.
islands and one swamp, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the curve is so low that 2 is pretty much all you're casting things for, except for Sauron's Ransom.
yep,
But that's 2 and a color, so who cares? Or 2 and a colorless.
that's
Right.
one black, blue.
Yes.
It's a worse expressive iteration. Actually, it's expressive iteration, but different because it's instant speed, so you can cast it on your opponent's end step.
Yep.
But it looks at 4 cards, but your opponent is the one who picks 2 to show to you, and then you always pick the ones they don't show to you.
Not 2. Nope. They make 2 piles.
Right.
So they could be 1 card, 3 on one side.
No, it's 2 and 2.
Well,
They
people
all
should do 2 and 2.
No. It's 2 and 2.
You're gonna be sad at what one person did to me.
Then they cheated.
What? No, is it? It's face
Sauron's
down.
Ransom. Choose an opponent. They look at the top 4 cards of your library and separate them into a face down pile and a face up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. The ring tempts you. I've always seen it resolved with 2 cards in each pile.
But it doesn't say 2. Just 2 piles.
Then what the fuck is going on? Why are people always separating into 2? That makes no sense. People are some of the worst fucking players I've ever seen then.
Yeah, like no, because like read it doesn't say separate it into
That's
2 piles of 2.
Fucking wizards. Make cards better.
Like I don't know why people are separating it into 2 piles of 2 unless it's like a mind game to make them pick like
MTGO. I've always seen it into 2 piles.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like you're trying to look up the rules for it.
100%, because that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know. I don't know why people do that. Because like you could just put like a really high value card on one side that you know you can deal with, and put a bunch of like interaction on the other side. Right? That's the trade off.
The opponent may split the cards into 1 pile of 4 and 1 pile of 0. The pile of 4 cards can be face up pile or the face down pile.
Yeah.
So yeah. Why is it always 2 and 2? Why is everyone just doing always 2 and 2? That makes no fucking
people
sense.
People are dumb. People are dumb. People don't know the rules of the cards they play.
There's gotta. That's why I thought it was. That's why I thought it was that way.
No, it's not.
Well,
read the card.
Well, I did, and that doesn't fucking make sense, guys. Like, I guess their thinking is that like if I show them one really good card, or if I show them like 3 really bad cards, it's like, all right, fine, I'll take the one really good, like the one face down card.
And it's a stupid fucking land.
Yeah,
and then they're pissed at you.
I don't know.
Yeah, you play mind games with it. That's the whole point of the card. You play mind games, but also get card advantage. Anyways,
what could be card advantage?
It's 2 cards, or well, it could be 2 cards
if people played it the way people play it online.
That's true. It's 2 cards or it's 3 cards. It's whatever you pick. It gets you deeper in your deck.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand why people are playing it with 2 and 2. Anyways, the second match of my night though, as you could tell, I did the first match, which was the prowess or storm deck. It was a storm deck, not a prowess deck. Sorry. And then it was the Titan was the last one, or amulet. No, oh my god, words are hard. Tron was the third one. The second one was somebody I don't understand. They came in with just a bunch of like commons it unsleeved. They were raw dogging it, and it was just like a bunch of Ravnica block
Yeah.
cards and some Witherbloom Apprentice.
Yeah, so this person, please never play the game again. Like if you're not even gonna actually try, don't waste the money. Just save everyone the time.
Well, so he also had a commander deck with him, so I think he's more of a commander player. And he showed up because he wanted to play cards, but he just like this was just what he had, and it's like okay, but at the same time, like it made me feel really bad because I just didn't hold back because I'm not going to hold back
No, fuck that guy. Like
when I'm playing. But like he just looked so sad at the end of the night, and I'm just like, I don't know what you expected to happen. Uh,
how do you not like you go to modern? How do you not look up what the fucking metagame is and go, wow, these cards are way better than the cards I have? There's
yeah,
something wrong.
and I am like, I don't know what was going on. But like he was really nice and he was really cool about like taking a beating like that. Like he didn't blame me for playing good cards, but at the same time,
You're
like
playing like a tier maybe 3 or 4 deck, like, and your cards aren't even comparatively that good.
it's tier two maybe. Well, it's a tier two deck. Everything's a tier two deck. That's not tier one. Anyways, yeah. So he took a beating. I think at one point he did try to play his commander deck. Because I saw him cast Soul Ring at one point. I don't know if that was like after they had finished everything,
Uh-huh.
but like I don't know. Like I was gonna be mad if he was trying to play a Soul Ring against me, and I was gonna be like, "Yo, shop owner guy, like I don't know what we need to do here, but like you can't let this happen."
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, it was wild. It was crazy. I just felt like it just wasted my time a little bit, and that I didn't really get better.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like like no offense to that guy, but like if you're going to play modern and the best you can do is just like a bunch of Ravnica block cards and fucking Wither Bloom Apprentice, just don't.
Yeah,
Don't wait. You're wasting your time, your money. You're wasting your opponent's time. Like no one learns anything from this. No one gets better from this. Like all you
yeah,
get is to be sad and poorer.
yeah. Like I don't know. I'm gonna get my burn deck back together and sleeved up and be like, if he shows up again with like a not deck, I'm gonna be like, take this and just play it for the night and give it back because it's like that's just yeah, like that was just infuriating to play against.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like it doesn't help anybody. Like no one's having fun. You're just kind of like, all right, I'm playing my cards. Your cards don't do anything. All right, what a fun, cool game experience.
I don't even know if his deck was legal.
It
I don't
probably
know how
wasn't.
many cards. I don't know how many cards were in his deck. He didn't have a sideboard. Game one, he only had one land the entire game.
I don't
Don't
know.
know how that
Yeah,
happened.
that guy should not have been playing. Like, I'm sorry, like, like,
Yeah,
actually, fuck that guy.
yeah. Like if he's new, it's like I don't want to say f that guy, but like at the
No,
same time, like I don't know. There needs to be some understanding of like rules that go into the game is at least like modern or standard or like things that are not commander.
right?
Yeah. Anyways, that was my Fortnite magic. I was like 1 and 2,
Yeah,
a not very good one.
yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad modern cards, it's time to talk about the consternation of the week, which is that Andrea Mengucci, spirit animal to this podcast, posted some thoughts on the current modern format post the bannings of Fury and Beanstalk. So
Yes. Yes, he did. I will.
I will read this now. and then we will react to it. So here's what his note says. I think this is currently the most unbalanced modern since MH2. The banning of Fury and Beans made Yawgmoth and Amulet too strong, with only Rhinos thriving as the only good deck against both. The metagame was balanced before with Scam as the perceived best deck. Lots of decks tied at the top and no clear winner on win rate. I beg Wizards to stop listening to complaints online and start focusing only on the win rate of decks at major events and using a higher bar to ban expensive cards, Fury, and decks, 4-color Beans. Please don't just ask for even more cards to be banned and wish for even more people to lose money just because you can't win with your specific deck. Not every single deck can be a winning one in a competitive format, even if we want as many as possible to be strong. The only reason cards should be banned is if their win rate is too high, and bans like these can easily make things worse, as they have now. I love Modern. It's a very skill intensive and rewarding format, and I want to keep it balanced above all else. Bill, what are your thoughts on Andrea Mengucci's thoughts on Modern?
All right. So to preface this, you and I looked at some data
Yes,
before the show started.
we sure did.
So we got Frank Karsten's metagame analysis, right? He posts win rates and percent of field.
Mhm.
The win rates total, looking at the two, if we're looking at decks 50% and above,
Yep.
the field is one deck difference. There's 12 pre-ban and I'm sorry, it's not that. Couple card difference, 3 card difference. No, nine. I'm sorry, 9 cards. I can't tonight, man. I'm sorry.
Bill, you were even like, "Hey, pre-roll, I'm gonna make a visual aid for myself, so that way I can actually do this and
so I can
talk
actually
about
articulate." But
yeah,
shit's hard. Anyways, on my spreadsheet it goes to 10, but there's a header at the top, so it's nine decks post ban and 11 decks pre ban with win rates of 50% or higher. I'm saying 50%. I know you like to say,
yeah. Okay, 50% or higher, sure. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with those numbers. However, something I will say in relation to that is, the post ban metagame win percentage thing is from the 2 regional championships that just happened over the past couple weeks. And there's a top 21, and that has 9 decks that are 50% or above. And then there's the one that was from November, which had 4 Secret Lair Showdown qualifiers, a Modern 20K, a re-CQ, a Grand Open qualifier, a Modern 10K, a 10K trial, and a re-CQ. Another re-CQ. Those are 15 decks, and 11 of them have a 50% win percentage or above. Continue.
That's true. Yes. Just to give context on those lists, the one from November was around 1,300 decks. Mm-hmm. The one from the most recent RCs was around 1,100. Mm-hmm. So about 200 decks off. Feels comparable, though.
It's still comfortable.
Yeah. Overall, it feels like the ban didn't really like change the field as far as number of decks. The thing that changed was percentage of decks being played, right? Because looking at it, 18% was the highest percent played for that for pre-ban.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the other, I'm not counting other because
other doesn't count.
Yeah, other doesn't count. The next one down was Rhinos at 6.9. Right.
Yes.
The next one, the post ban, it's 15% Rakdos Grief, 15% Teamer Rhinos, 11% Golgari. I feel like post ban like it feels harder because you have 3 decks that a lot of people are playing, whereas prior it was 1 deck a lot of people were playing.
Yeah.
But if you had a plan though, you knew the plan for the 1 deck. So overall, I think the ban might not have been fantastic for the format's health, but we also don't know what's happening either, right? Are they looking ahead at other decks or other sets that are coming out? We don't know. But just strictly off of this, I feel like I feel like I fairly agree with Mengucci. I do feel that something had to happen though because of just the sheer number of people playing Rakdos. The Rakdos scam
Mm-hmm.
pre-ban, like something had to happen. I don't know if the ban was the right ban.
Okay, here's what I have to say.
Okay.
Normally, I agree with a lot of things that Mengu says.
Yeah.
However, there's a couple things that he's said in relation to specifically the 4-color deck that I've always disagreed with,
Ah.
and it's this. He says no one plays this at top tables, and that might be true. And we've actually brought up this point previously, where seemingly people don't play as much 4-color, like you don't see it top as much, mainly because it goes to fucking time all the time, and you know the wins there are arbitrary, or they draw out and they're not able to hit the certain qualifiers to hit like top tables. Okay,
Yeah.
where I have a problem with what Mengu overall is saying is that he is looking at a winning metagame and a metagame of competitive players, where we're talking about the best players, the top 1% of players at a tournament. He's looking at that.
I see.
And I as a bad player fucking care about the local scene, what I see in leagues, and the stuff below that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what was never fucking fun was playing against 4-color beans. Because it was just like, I mean, I said it a million times. You've heard me say it once. You're like, hey, let me evoke Solitude. Oh, I'm supposed to -1 card, but actually I draw a card, so now I'm even. Oh, I have 2 beans in play. Well, now I draw a card for moving your card in a play that should have put me -1.
Yeah.
That's not a fun fucking play pattern. There never was a fun fucking play pattern. Ever.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
I don't agree, and I never will agree with his assessment on what went on, why beans should have been banned. It 100% should have been banned. It took fucking games to time that shouldn't have gone to time in the first place. Like, for the overall, it's like the Yorion ban in Modern. It's like along that ilk. Dexterity issues, whatever. Whether that's actually like a quantifiable thing, I don't know. But you can tell when a deck has an inordinate amount of times it goes to draw, like times it goes to time and then draws. Like you can see that. Like
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck are we talking about here? And
Yeah.
then let me see what else, because there's another point. Please don't just ask for even more cards to be banned, but just because you can't win with your specific deck. Okay, sure,
I don't
but
I don't agree with that statement
that
there.
statement's a bad statement, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of people who play shooters, and so they'll play shooters like Modern Warfare, Warzone, or like Apex Legends, and there's the pro scene for Apex Legends, where it's like the ALCS, the Apex Legends
Yeah.
Championship Series, and then coming off of that, specific nerfs and buffs to characters and weapons will happen, and players will play the game and be like, "Well, I don't use the character like it's the same thing with League of Legends too, but like I don't
Right.
use the deck the way these people do." Or like I don't play the character this way. I don't use the weapon this way. I don't use this combination this way. Like this is only broken for like the top like 1% of players who are
Right.
like god tier at the game. But like me, who just wants to play, Apex Legends with his boys like once a week for 3 hours, I'm getting fucking shit stomped by this like by whoever, even when if I use this broken combo.
Yeah,
And
yeah, the sweaties.
like
Yeah.
it doesn't like so my point is this. The meta game that Mengu cares about is a winning metagame, is the top tables metagame. What everyone else cares about is the actual fucking metagame where people actually play these games.
Yeah.
So, like, I will play against fucking 4-color control just randomly in a tournament and I'll hate it. And I'm like, I hate playing against this. It's not fun. I hate how much card advantage they get, despite the fact that this deck should have 0 card advantage. Like, this is just an unfun experience. And then you have people who
Yeah.
are like, my creature deck the creature deck that I had from pre-Modern Horizons 2 is essentially soft banned because Fury just fucks it up entirely. So when he says,
Yeah.
"Hey, don't call for bannings just because your bad deck can't win," and you paid a lot of money for people paid a lot of money for these decks, I hate
That's
that
true.
argument
Yeah.
because those people probably paid a lot of fucking money for their decks when they first released 2, and they were really like the Humans was good
Yeah.
before Modern Horizons. It
Yep.
was. It was one of the top decks in the format. And then fucking Fury and Red and Six and all this creature hate comes out. And guess what? They're fucking bad now.
Yep.
And they're soft banned. So you're telling me, just because power creep happens, that all these decks should be fucking garbage and people should switch to decks they don't want to play anymore? Fine, okay. Then
Yeah.
cards should be banned because they're too strong and they gatekeep formats.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can. Yeah. Fury definitely impacted a lot of that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and that's the thing. Like, I don't even know like how WotC measures this. Just like, how do you measure, is a format enjoyable? Like,
I don't know. I think you have to look at player percentages, like, because everything runs through the companion app. So I'm sure, like,
mhm.
on Monday morning, they compile all the data. Like, somebody tells you, like, hey, hey, this event ran, it was in Modern, or it was in Pioneer, or it was in Standard. Let's compare how many people played Modern this week with the number of events from last week or whatever. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's like some data science like that. And they look at it, and I'm sure they were looking at events and just like watching people just tail off playing Modern last format, and we're just like, well, something's got to change. Let's like look into this. I'm sure something like that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to look up right now. I'm trying to look up like the Splinter Twin ban. Right. Because like that's a big famous ban.
Mm-hmm.
But I was listening to like the history of Modern, and they didn't ban it for so long, even though there were other bans prior to it. Like Birthing Pod was banned, I think, before Splinter Twin.
So something else I'm looking at is match win percentages from a
Match
couple
wins.
weeks
Okay.
ago to November.
Yeah.
So Scam has dropped 3 percentage points as part of the field. Match win percentage now 47.5%, was 52.6, so dropped a whole 5.1 percentage points.
That's pretty big though.
That's that's huge. That's a
Yeah. Yeah.
huge drop. But then you look at
Yeah.
everything else. Rhinos, 15% of the field now, was 7% of the field. 52% match win percentage now, 51% match winnage percent then. Yawgmoth, 11.5%, was 6.1%, so climbed 5% play rate. Match win percentage, 53.7%. Now, then 51.4, so went up 2.5%.
I'm trying to remember when Soul Cauldron came out.
It was
If it would have been
before
included in those
November. It
numbers.
was in September.
Okay. Yeah, so it would have been included in those numbers.
Yes. So Murktide, 8.5% of the field now, was 5.4% of the field. So another 3% increase.
Up. Mm-hmm.
Win rate, 49.3% now, 47.7% then. Amulet Titan, 8.4% now. Was 5.3% of the meta then. Was 51.9% win percentage then, is 51.5% now.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, the only thing that's really changed in this meta is that Rhino's win percentage went up a little bit. Yawgmoth's win percentage went up
A little bit.
comparatively. I think 2% is pretty considerable. Oh, and also in fairness, Rhinos also went up 2%, so that's also pretty considerable. So like
Yeah.
and then Murktide also went up 2%. And of course, like sample size of 1,100 versus 1,300, so you have to
But
weigh that.
and also you have to think too, right? Like percent of field changed drastically.
Yes.
Is what happened. So how many people that were really, really good at those like decks were playing Scam previously because Scam was just a lot more consistent and easier to get wins with versus now, like now they're back at those more complicated decks, like, or not complicated, but like they're back at Rhinos and Yogg.
Yeah. So the ban, I think the ban was fine because it did what they wanted. Scam is down in both, down slightly in play rate, but down 5% in win percentage. Like that's a
Mm-hmm.
fuck ton. Four color was 6.1% in metagame share. It's now 3%, cut in half. But the win percentage is actually higher just slightly because it's now 54.9%, so nearly 55% versus 53. Where are you for color? 53.8. So it went up like a percentage point. But that's also
Right.
because I guarantee people are expecting it less and therefore have less of a sideboard plan for it. So that's part of it too. But like, you can't say that's the reason why Scam is down so hard, because like Scam
Right.
used to be like the deck that people overwhelmingly sideboard for, and it was still
Mm-hmm.
winning 52.5% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I think overall the Fury ban was right.
Yes.
I wish there was like, I don't know. It's like I hate the feeling of just like starting something up and getting griefed right away. But you gotta have a plan for it. Like
Well,
yeah.
and the thing is that Grief Scam was like the number one way to keep Amulet in check, and Fury Scam was the number one way to keep Yogg in check. And obviously, like, Grief Scam still exists, but like you're not, like, you shouldn't be as hard mulliganing to it as before, but you still do, because like there's times where you're just like, I just need like something that I just need.
Yeah.
Like, turn one Ragavan is good, but like Grief Scam is way better.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the price of Grief rate or Fury right now.
$9.
$9 for
Yep.
the borderless. $7 for the regular.
$9 for borderless. Should pick up a place at a borderless.
Yeah. $10 if you want it in foil.
No, God, no. Anything but that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was talking to a couple people in a content creators Discord today. They absolutely hate the domain deck. They say it's killing all the creature decks. It's making everything in standard, by the way. It's making everything terrible. It's making everything bad. They can't play creature decks. 80% of their decks are unplayable. And I'm like, but that's part of the game, right? Is like analyzing the meta and coming up with a plan to deal with that stuff. Right? Like maybe you don't overcommit. Like, yeah, you're gonna kill them a little slower, but you're also gonna like not get blown out by a board wipe.
Yeah.
So it's like, or just play a better deck. I don't.
Yeah, or just be be good.
Yeah, like if winning is what you really care about, and you're playing the game to be competitive, then play a better deck.
Yeah. If you are playing in the standard RCQ format and you hate domain, and all you do is bitch about domain, and I want to point out this is the same thing. This is the adage I went with Scam whenever I was playing against Scam in the modern RCQ format.
Mm-hmm.
If you are complaining about playing the best deck in the format and you are playing at like a competitive level, you should not be playing competitive level at all, because
Yeah.
you are just going to anger yourself. You are going to get frustrated. You're going to hate the game, and you're going to quit. And it's better for you to either A, accept that you're going to play the best deck in the format and have a plan to play around it, or B, don't play.
Yeah.
Just don't play.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's hard just hearing like all the negativity. Like it's I think the only format where I don't hear negativity about a deck is Legacy and the other one, Vintage.
Vintage.
Right? Yeah. Like the people that play Legacy and Vintage are always like, "Holy crap, that's really cool." Like even though they've seen the deck like 30 times.
Right.
It's like, but like that's also a different mindset too, right? Like everybody like uh Thraben you, right? Like he's always being like, okay, so as long as they don't do this turn, I have a way to deal with it when they try it on the turn after. Right? Like that's like it's always about like how he can mitigate the damage. It's never about like, oh, I just hate this deck.
Yeah. Like I hate Amulet. Like it just seems like no matter what I do, I just lose to it. But like, I also think my game plan against Amulet is not very good. And I also feel like, personally, the people who play Amulet in my area aren't very forthcoming with information on how to play with it, or how to play it and play against it. So I just feel like I'm just kind of like staring at it, being like, I know what this deck does. I don't understand the interaction points, and I'm not really getting any advice. I'm asking for it, and I'm not getting like any kind of like, here's where I think you should, like, I knew you had a
Nothing
counterspell here.
tangible.
Here's where
Yeah.
you should have fired it off. I'm getting nothing like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm lucky. Like my area, like everybody's pretty good about like if I ask, like, hey, where could I have done things differently? Like they're everybody's pretty good about that, which I am very grateful for.
Yeah.
Actually, even when I lived in Buffalo, that it was the same thing there. Like some people would stay like after like an RC or a store championship and be like, here, yeah, let's play that match again, and we'll talk through like what's in your, like you just play with your hand exposed, and we'll just talk through what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I don't feel like that happens in my area. Like
Yeah.
they're fine. They're good Magic players. Like it's good practice. But like I I play the Amulet matchup and I've come away feeling nothing. I don't feel like I've learned anything. I don't feel like I understand the interaction points. I don't feel anything. I just play the game, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. And I don't feel like that's a good way to
Helpful.
carry a format. What that has to do with bans? Nothing. I don't want anything
Nothing.
banned. I don't
Yeah.
need anything banned right now. But like I'm tired of my deck, Murktide, getting nothing, and fucking everybody else getting something that actively makes their deck better. Like Soul Cauldron for Yawgmoth is insane.
Yeah.
Molten Collapse for Scam is insane, and Scam is technically my deck now. But like Amulet getting like fucking Spelunking as like a secondary way to
Oh my
live
god.
through
Yeah.
matchups, and it's just like,
That's good. Yeah.
so Murktide, its most recent card is this fucking
Expressive iteration or the
no
monkey.
no technically Murktide's most
Oh,
recent card is Preordain.
right. Because they unbanned it.
And then before that, I will say I think it's actually
The creation of the deck.
no, it's actually Stern Scolding.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of people I see running 4 Stern Scolding in their deck because Murktide can't fucking beat creature decks. It can't. It can't.
Yeah.
Like without Fury, has no fucking chance.
I don't understand why you guys aren't doing like what's it in the sideboard?
Brotherhood's End still has no chance.
Yeah.
It's 3
Really?
mana. It's 3 mana.
Oh.
And let me tell you what Murktide's really bad at doing if you don't
Getting
have
to
it.
3 mana.
Get to 3 mana. Now, of course, you know what you're really good at doing sometimes? Getting to 5 mana.
getting the 5 mana. Oh no. Oh, poor Murktide.
It's 50% win. It's a
Anyways.
50% deck. And I don't remember if I said it during the thing, but like I feel like that deck rewards you for being a better player than your opponent.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
And if you're not a better player than your opponent, you're gonna lose. So like that's why I can't play that deck anymore, because I'm not better than many people at my store.
Right. That's the way I feel.
Like I'm better than that one person who I have to explain every fucking interaction to. But like outside of them, it's like I'm not better than most of these people. So like Murktide just kind of isn't for me.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Anyways, next episode, I think we're gonna be from MagicCon Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna be there. If you're gonna be there, leave us a message in the comments. Maybe we can do something. Talk, play games.
Yeah,
Probably
we'll
not
have likely
taking
scrubbed out of
Commander.
our games and our tournaments.
Yeah, probably. Unless I get just lucky. But yeah, until then though, if you're watching us on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe, do that interaction thing. Dan, on the podcast side, you're going to tell them, rate us, give us a thumbs up, leave a review. Did I steal your thunder?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
On your
it's a very
podcast
boring
choice.
thing to do over on
Yeah.
podcasts.
Very, very boring thing. With that though, I'm going to say keep calm and spike on.